What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades. Please forgive my voice. My allergies are acting like crazy. I sound like I have a trash can over my head. We're just going to have to deal with it. I apologize. So what we've got today on the tabletop for the in-depth review, what will be video 3 dedicated to this knife, because I looked forward to this knife for an entire year pretty much. And when I got it, I was super excited to see it lived up to the hype that I had placed on it, never having seen one in person or having it in hand. I had hyped up this knife, the Synergy 3, in my own head so much and was very excited and continue to be excited that they did such a decent job on it. The Synergy 3 from Civivi is a budget, quote-unquote, version of the Civivi Knives Synergy, which is an integral titanium frame lock, and I believe the going price on their base models is about $400, give or take. And then Damascus steel versions of those, I think, are around like $595, $600. So they are premium in price, and they're very nice. I mean, very nice. If I was spending that kind of money on knives, no doubt I would do it. We makes a solid product, and so does Civivi in this, like I say, quote unquote, budget version. This thing is street pricing at $131 without a premium performing steel. That is pushing for a brand that started with the introduction of four G10 D2 models at the $52 price range. $131 is the most I've ever spent on a Civivi knife. And wait, I did not spend $131 on it because, as always, I bought this knife at White Mountain Knives, where Justin at White Mountain Knives offers us all multiple 10% off discount codes. So I was out the door on this thing for $118, still over that $100 price point. But you know what? Loving this Damascus and loving carbon fiber and the fit and finish on this, I'm sort of okay with that. I'm sort of okay. I'm not shouting it from the mountaintops okay, but I'm sort of okay. And you can get the plain G10 versions with Nitro V. Was it Nitro V for the blade steel? I believe it is. You'll have to look at that. Those plain, the base model is, they're $93.50, and then after the 10% discount codes, it would be $84. That's pretty decent on that as well. Let's get these specs out of the way here now that we have talked about the price. This is it's an EDC knife. It's a medium-esque EDC knife. You're looking at 3 3/8 of an inch on that trailing point blade, and that's 8.5 centimeters. Your blade stock thickness, I got 118 thousandths of an inch, and that's about 3 millimeters. Blade width at the widest, 1.1 inches or 29 millimeters. Handle length, you're looking at 4.5 inches, which is slightly less than 11 centimeters. Handle thickness, 560 thousandths of an inch in those radially machined, not flat handle scales. Handle width at the widest at the pivot is 1.25 inches or 32 millimeters. Your closed width, very nice, is 1.5 inches, and that is only at the pivot, including the flipper tab. That's 39 millimeters. The rest of this is almost fully nested blade and handle, and it is even closed. It's a beautiful profile on this knife. Behind the edge, oh, wait a second. Let's back up a little bit. Overall length, 7 3/4 of an inch. That's 19.5 centimeters. Stop pin diameter, 117 thousandths of an inch, about 3 millimeters, the same as the blade thickness. Behind the edge, Civivi thin as always, not the absolute thinnest, but damn it, 13 thousandths of an inch or 0.33 millimeters, a third of a millimeter behind your edge edge thickness. Handle to blade ratio, fantastic at 75%, 0.75, and your weight 3.35 ounces or 95 grams. That pretty much gets us at the 1 ounce per inch of blade length. Weight to blade performance ratio, is that what you want to call it? Not super important, but it feels very balanced. It feels very much like you pick it up and you're like, okay, that's it's very solid feeling for its weight. That feels very good. Material wise, we're going to say this is their proprietary stainless Damascus, this time in a surreal sort of twist pattern. It is some of the best looking pattern I've ever seen in Damascus, period. Very attractive, nice and complex without being all whacked out. There's so many patterns in it. It's just a beautiful sort of twist, a helical twist. Yeah, it's awesome. But your blade steels, from what I know, the two steels in it, one is 9CR, 18 MOV. I've had people say the other is 10CR, and there are significant changes that might make the 10CR more resistant, to where you can etch out the pattern. And this is deeply etched, so it's, there is some difference there. They're saying it's going to perform like 440C, which you'll find typically rock weld in the 58 to 60 range, depending on who does the heat treat. I've always said 440C is about the cutoff point for me. It at one time was the stainless steel in knives. Believe it or not, it was the stainless steel. Now it's just relegated to the budget bin, and most people boo-hoo it. But it's, if you can sharpen, it sharpens easy. 440C-esque blade steels typically have decent edge retention, a decent impact resistance, and decent corrosion resistance. If this performs in that range, what we know about 9CR being one of the steels, 9CR, it typically is right in there in that 440B, 440C range. So, I'm okay with that to get the Damascus. Like I say, we're paying $131 and not getting premium performing steels. If they could shoehorn M390 into this, S35 even, you know what? That would be damn near impossible to beat. I mean, it would be. Material-wise in the handle, of course, we've got the laminated G10 and carbon fiber. Again, radially finished, so it reveals the layering. It's consistent side to side. It is subtle yet attractive. In the sunlight, the carbon fiber really pops. For surface texture, you have the deeply machined. You can see how deep it is there. This concentric pattern radiating out from the pivot center point. It is very tactile. It's attractive. I did not think I would like it, but it is attractive, and you would not believe how much traction it actually adds to the grip, which is very ergonomic, and we'll talk about later. The material is very solid feeling. It's very resistant to flex. And that is important because there is only a liner in this handle on the lock side. It is a full inset liner, no weight relief. The show side has no liner, and there is a milled place for a steel insert, a keywayed insert around the pivot for the bearings to ride on. If you will take a look at my Guts and Glory video on this knife, it is fully disassembled. I show you everything about it and talk about the inside and some key points that elevate this knife. Because you don't have two full liners, you save weight. but only certain materials are fit for that. You need very much need structural integrity. And this material just doesn't flex. It is very rigid, okay? This knife feels very solid and reminds me of some very premium knives that use that type of build, but typically with a titanium frame lock. I've always liked that if you choose the right material going without a liner, and then with bearing knives using an insert for the bearing writing surface. So, I'm cool with that. You've got a bent steel pocket clip, deep carry, flush, flathead screws. The only thing I do not like about it, and the only thing I do not like about this, very good pocket clip. Let me get that across. Very good pocket clip. There is only one flaw at all with this pocket clip, and that is how high the tip is. The tip needs to be high enough to where thicker material can get under it. But if you look at that, the thicker portion of the handle is up here. Therefore, there is a planar rise to this pocket clip, and the tip is just too high. You can very much feel that tip when you use it for extended amount of time. Now, it does have a decent flat on it, so it's not like a super bad hot spot. But if you are using this knife, you tried to use it hard use for extended amount of times, I just about guarantee you would eventually hot spot out on that tip. Other than that, it's a shame. It's a fabulous pocket clip. Great placement, great mounting options. I'm going to take mine and I'm just going to bend the tip down just a tad, just a little bit, just a little bit, and it'll be perfectly fine. Backspace material is black G10. I initially thought it was the same material as the handle, but it is not layered. You cannot see any layers in it. It's just G10. Black finished hardware, all T8 except for the pocket clip screws, which are T6. Again, this one is all stealth black hardware, including the all blacked out Civivi pivot cover, which typically is black, and then they machine off the upper flat surfaces, revealing the silver, giving it a two-tone. I like that. I like this look a lot. It's a classy looking knife showcasing some premium-esque materials, yet it's not blingy or flashy. It is classy utilitarian, maybe. I don't know. Let's go on to fit and finish. We've looked at this knife close up all over, including the inside. I can find absolutely zero issues with fit and finish at all. Zero issues. So, I mean, what am I going to say here? It's fit and finish is good, because it is. Look at this blade. The Damascus pattern aside, let's look at the grinds on it. All the grind lines are nice and straight and crisp. The secondary edge, which is the edge bevel itself, very even, tip to heel, very even and consistent side to side, and very polished. It is a very polished factory edge. In fact, if I try to get up close and stay on it, it will cause autofocus issues with the camera. Everything about it is just really well done. There is your maker's mark. And even the maker's mark is done attractively. And that's your only markings on the blade. Of course, they're not going to put Damascus on the blade to tell you what the steel is. That's obvious as soon as you look at it. And they're, keeping tight to the chest what their Damascus mixture is. So there you go on that. The finish on the blade. The etching is deep. It is tactile, meaning it has very much a deeply etched surface texture. Then they do a black wash on it. And then because the low points are so much lower than the high points, you can come back and hand rub the high points off. And that gives you what is a very good contrast for stainless Damascus, which typically does not contrast nearly as dark as carbon Damascus. I have not worked with it myself. I've always worked with carbon Damascus, but I'm eager to sort of try it in my shop, see what I can do. It's attractive. It's attractive. It's well done. Fit and finish, just well done. Fit and finish on the handle. Like I say, we've looked at this thing inside and out and close up and far away and across the street and down the hallway. And I've put light on it and no light on it. And then, I mean, there's nothing I can say. There's absolutely no con that I can give this knife. I mean, an absolute asshole might say, what are you using T6 screws to put the pocket clip on for? You need to use T15s. Fuck, I mean, there's some sort of, sorry about that curse word, guys, but there's some sort of line at which you got to sort of give it up for hardware size and usage, realistically, you know. I'm glad we get the T8 for the body. I mean, we could step up to T10 on the pivot. And you know what? Speaking of, let's check that again. We're going to get out the tools here because something just popped into my head that just said, I don't know about that pivot being T8. Okay, it is T8. I worked on something this week that's got a T10 on the pivot. I can't remember what it is, but it is not this knife. It is T8 all over except the pocket clip. Fit and finish, zero issues on any of it. Let's just stop, you know, talking about it. Action. Explosive. Explosive. Okay, I'm not saying a little bit explosive. It's not a, you know, it's almost explosive. It's just freaking explosive opening action. The detent is strong. The geometry, the relationship between the center pointing of the flipper tab, the center point of the pivot here gives you a mechanical efficiency in that flipper tab as it augments that force as well as the detent holding kinetic force. It makes for just an explosive action. It is not fully drop shutty. I can tell you right now, it is not as good as it was on the last video because you can't see all the dust and everything down it, but it is full of pocket lint as I have been daily carrying this as I work. So it's got all kinds of crap down in it, from dog food to flour to molasses, because different days of the week I came home covered in that crap. But the action, I'm not going to take anything away from the action because it's not fully drop shutty. Not a thick blade at 118 thousandths or 3 millimeters. So it's not a heavy blade. And it's just that opening action. The opening action makes up for everything. It makes up for everything. The lockup is absolutely solid. The pivot, absolutely solid. The centering, judge for yourself. I can't tell if that is just optical illusion or it looks a little to this side, or if it's absolutely centered. It has to do with the spine of the knife being rounded over. You got a crowned spine on that. I forgot to mention that. That's a nice added touch that maybe I haven't even spoken about. Because generally I don't pay much attention to that, except that it, it sort of visually it catches my eye, or maybe not. But action-wise, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the action on my example. I've had it apart multiple times. I have put it back together different ways, meaning I have flipped the bearings. I've tightened down screws in different order. I've bent it around and flexed it, and I've taken it apart and put it back together 4 or 5 times now. It's very consistent in the way that it comes back together and the way that the action is, which is, again, explosive. It is explosive. So I'm very happy to say that the action part of the video is now over, and we learned that it is explosive. So there you go. Ergos and utility. I love a trailing point. Love a trailing point. Look at all that beautiful, 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 beautiful cutting edge. Look at that belly on that thing. You still got a nice short run of straight, flat edge that you can do up close detail work on. You've got this belly for your slashy sort of cutting, and you've got a very sharp pointing tip on it that catches and pierces instantly. Instantly, guys. That's a multi-use blade right there. You could call that blade tactical. You could call it utilicool. You could call it visually cool. It's just a great, great design. Now, they do offer this in a tanto blade that is a stylized tanto with a curvature to both the primary and secondary edge on it, and it sort of has an upswept tip as well. Very stylish, very attractive if you like tantos. It puts you into the mind of a more traditional shape as the tip rises on it, rather than all the edges being geometric and straight like the westernized tantos. Again, both versions available, tricked out in the stainless Damascus, and holy shit, stainless Damascus and carbon fiber G10 handles. And then you've got the more budget oriented versions with Nitro V, I believe, and solid G10. I don't think you could go wrong with either one of them. The handle on this knife. Now, we're talking about utilitarian use and ergonomics, and I want you to take a look at this handle. It looks just like it looks comfortable. It looks comfortable to me. The first time that I looked at this knife, when I took it out of the box, I thought, well, that's going to be comfortable. And it is. You have a stylish melding of a lot of different things that I like in a handle. You've got sort of a recessed choil area. It's both it locates the front of your hand, and it gives a little bit of recess there to grab a hold of when you are using the knife in a way that you're moving back and forth. It gives stability in that direction. You've got a wide open sort of middle section here that is Coke bottled. It is wasted here. You dip back in towards the tail end of the knife, and what that does is it gives it the feel of having almost a bird's beak sort of feel to the back end, where the back end has such a feeling where it drops down right here. That little dip right here, coming off of the Coke belly, the little dip right here really adds to that feeling, and it gives it sort of a secure bird's beak feeling without the physical encumbrance of a true bird's beak. If you've ever had a knife in this size with a 4.5-inch handle, with a bird's beak, it starts feeling a little confined to me. This design, it's curved like your hand. It's curved like your hand. Look at your hand. Where is the straight part of your hand? There, all it is curves. You look at this. There's no straight interaction with anything on this knife. That is an understanding of what makes a tool comfortable and ergonomic in a tool design. It works. It works. Again, the pocket clip tip, the only downside of that. You are going to want to get that tip a little lower. Again, that is such a shame because that is a fantastic pocket clip design. It's fantastic. But ergos and utility on this knife, it's the same as all the rest of it, guys. This knife is fabulous. It is fabulous. Take a look at this knife. No shit. Take a look at it. I think it is worthy in both dressings, at both price points. The Tanto blade looks good, even though I'm a trailing point guy, so I got the trailing point. I may go back and get the Tanto just to have both of them. Maybe they'll do some special editions of these if they are very successful, and we'll get some maybe a second premium handle material, and I can get the Tanto in it to have two truly unique versions. Yeah. Bass on Blades is going to recommend the Synergy 3. Of all the knives that I've gotten recently, overall, it is the favorite that I've had so far recently. It is very well done. The design is very well done. The realization in manufacturing is very well done. Civivi all the way. There you go, guys. In depth on the Civivi Synergy 3 Damascus trailing point with carbon fiber G10 handle scales. Such a short and sweet name. Again, highly recommended. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. They are very long, and I appreciate you very much. Please like and subscribe if you like what you hear and you look forward to more. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.